Okay. Good evening, folks. If you take your seat for a second. Good evening, folks. My name is Julian Perez, and I'm the Planning and Zoning Director for the town of Cutler Bay. Today is June the 10th, and we're having a zoning workshop for two projects in our town. The first project is a car wash, and the second project is MMG Best Plaza LLC. At this time, the first half of this meeting will be for the developer and the community to interact, present their projects, and then the second half of this workshop will be the elected body will have an opportunity to listen to a brief presentation from the applicants and ask questions. So at this time, let's go with phase one, which is the community and the folks that are here. So if there's any members of the community here and would like to ask any questions, now is the time until 6:30.
Go down and check it out.
Recording it? Or? All right, do that again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second part of our town zoning workshop. Today is June 10th, 2026. If you could please take the roll.
Councilmember Duncan,
Here.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Here.
Councilmember Lord,
Here.
Vice Mayor Callahan, Mayor Butt.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. If you could please join me and rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Julian, I guess you'll be taking over, Ralph, or did you mean to introduce him, or can you just let him go?
Sure. Thank you, members of council. Tonight, we have a unique opportunity as our zoning workshop. We just completed the first half from 6 to 6:30 for the public. We have 2 applications, and tonight we have our planning and zoning director, Julian Perez, that'll introduce both the applications.
The first project that's going to come before you this evening is El Car Wash. And then the second project is going to be MMG Best Plaza LLC. To my left, El Car Wash to my right. Those are the renderings. Very briefly, the applicant El Car Wash Florida LLC. The project number is Plan 0426000153. That's for the 2 variances. 0426000152 is the conditional use, and 00154, again, 0426000154, that is your site plan. The project is located on 19875 South Dixie Highway. The folio number is 366006. 0240010. This project was advertised in the Miami Herald on May 31st, 2026. The property was posted on May 29th of 2026. As indicated, this is a commercial project which includes 2 variances. And basically, they're asking for 0 building frontage where 100% is required. And then the second variance is a building frontage 0, where 75% is required for secondary streets. The conditional use and the site plan approval is also part of this process for this specific project. At this time, the applicant is represented by counsel Tracy Slavin, that is here. And I would ask her to please approach, and she could probably give you an overview of the project.
Thank you, Julian. My name is Tracy Slavins. My address is 3800 Northeast 2nd Avenue, Suite 200. I'm here on behalf of El Car Wash, and I'm joined by Alex Quintana from El Car Wash and our team of experts to guide you through any questions that you may have this evening about the project. Our site is approximately 0.98 acres, and it's located at 19875 South Dixie Highway and 107th Avenue. Currently, the site is an old OG paint store that's going to be demolished, and the goal is to eliminate this abandoned building and redevelop the corner with a vibrant, high-quality amenity that'll also hopefully encourage economic development in the city, because the car wash is one component of the site, but this is a mixed-use development that has approximately 4,400 square feet of office space as well. So that office space is intended to hopefully be an incubator space for startup companies, maybe a civic space or a home to a small business in the community. As Julian mentioned, we do have 4 requests that will ultimately be before the council for approval. The site plan approval, the conditional use for the car wash, and the 2 variances. I want to focus on the variances just to explain why we've gone from 100% to a 0% request. And the purpose is by situating the building more in the center of the site, away from the property lines, we're able to enhance the circulation and parking here. You know, we do have two uses. They are quite different. They need to have separate parking, separate entrances, and circulation is key to the success of this site. So the variances allow for that. They also allow us to have additional landscaping. You know, we've learned over several years of working on sites in Miami-Dade County that landscape buffering is critical to this use. You know, it helps buffer sound. It helps to buffer the visual impacts of the tunnel as as it faces the road. And so adding the landscaping is important, I think, not only for the site to enhance and fit into the fabric of the community, but for the visual effects of the people who live and work nearby and drive by. So before you have some renderings and a color landscape and site plan showing the layout of the site. Cars will enter for the car wash just off South Dixie Highway and circulate around the site and then into the tunnel. They're stacking for approximately 24 vehicles. Each car goes through the car wash at a very rapid pace, so that line of stacking moves very quickly. And our traffic studies have indicated that based on the design and layout, there should be no queuing that backs up into the roadway, because that's, our number one concern. And if you've ever driven around some of the older sites or ones in the urban core, on along 8th Street, that can be an issue sometimes. So our goal here was to make sure that there was ample space to avoid that. The office space is uniquely designed, as I mentioned before, to be an incubator for Cutler Bay startups, small businesses, and community organizations. And we hope that the community does take advantage of this opportunity to situate their businesses in the town. And as far as the design, it's going to be the typical El Car Wash color patterns of the pink and teal, white building. There will be shading and screening and ample landscaping. The parking spaces serving the car wash will have vacuum hoses at each space, but they do count also as parking spaces for anyone that needs to talk to staff or get out of their car for any reason. On the office side, there are 6 parking spaces, which is one more than what's required by the code. It equates to, at about 4,000 square feet, you probably have 2 or 3 office spaces in there. So that's about 2 employees per space, which makes the parking for the office compliant with code requirements. And I just wanted to touch on quickly that El Car Wash is cognizant of environmental and sound impacts. And so, there are water efficiency standards that they employ at every store. Their reuse level is extremely high. So, this isn't like all the water is going down the drain. The water is being reused and recycled. They use the best practices for environmental management for all the products that are used at the car wash. And as far as the sound goes, they use state-of-the-art equipment to make sure that impact of noise is mitigated to the minimal effect possible. So with that, it concludes my presentation, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Council questions? Councilman Duncan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not necessarily questions, comments on the presentation. I think that your design here is a big improvement over what's currently in the space. I know this property has come before this council before, at least in my tenure here in the last 70 years. And I understand the difficulties with complying with the frontage on this specific property. I think the way that you have it designed, how you have it situated, especially in a mixed use setting, I think that for what you're asking for is appropriate. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity to bring a business such as El Car Wash to our town. With that being said, I'm glad that you put a big emphasis on the the added landscaping, especially as a buffer between the residential areas and whatnot. I think that is always going to be a plus here in Cutler Bay. And I'm kind of really excited about the mixed use office incubator type space, because I think that's going to provide, especially along the US 1 corridor where we have other opportunities to grow newer tech driven type roles. I think that's something that area is prime for using. So I want to thank you all for that. So overall, I think, your design, of course, looks great, and I'm excited for you all to bring it further on down the line.
Thank you.
Right. Councilwoman Lord.
Thank you, Mayor. I too, I like this project very much. How many other projects do you have that have a building like that on your site?
I believe Doral is the only other site that has office incorporated into it. The Doral site is actually the corporate offices for El Car Wash.
Okay.
And that has been quite successful, especially for the operations, because they have eyes on what's going on and they can do real improvements in their operations for other stores by watching what happens. But most of the El Car Washes around town are single-use sites. So this is quite innovative for them. And hopefully it's successful and we can duplicate this in other places too.
Right. That's why I was asking, because I've obviously seen this brand and I don't recall ever seeing a building on it. And I had concerns with the parking spots. It didn't seem to me like there would be enough, but I'm glad you addressed that in your presentation. So hopefully I do love the idea that this is going to be for startups and an incubator, but if it doesn't work, if people don't show up, if it sits idle, I know that there's a component where we as the town, we're going to be able to use some of that space for our activities. Our town hall is always booked out. We have a summer camp here right now, so I think we would appreciate that. If going forward in a year or so, you guys notice that it's not being used, what's plan B for that? Like, I would love to see maybe classes offered there, if the space isn't being used. And I know that's something you can't ask or answer now. I just want to throw that out there. And then also, since you have a different parking area and a different entrance for that area, maybe brand it like the business center at the car wash or something like that. So it stands out as this incubator that people driving up US 1 goes, oh, wait, hold on. What is that business center all about? They can Google it. They can find it. It would help get that word out. It's just a thought. I'm flowing here, but I do like the project very much. And I like the ability to have a community component there, for our residents to be able to use, or even not residents, people popping off the turnpike and stopping in there. It is much better than what's there now. And I also learned that the noise is being driven away from the community and not toward the community. So I want to express my appreciation for that.
Correct. Just to clarify that, the blowers, the dryers for the vehicles going through the tunnel are going to be on the US 1 side of the building.
Thank you.
And I love the idea about branding it. I think that's really smart, and I took a note, so we'll take that back to corporate.
Councilman Ramirez.
Well, I too like the idea, and it's absolutely 100% better than what's right now. We shared some ideas as far as the business center and stuff like that. Hopefully you guys will take some of that stuff into consideration, because I think it could be a money producer for you as well. The only question I have is, and this is probably more for Julian, the parking is actually for the car wash itself. The parking is actually same area for the vacuums and everything else like that. Do you, and I'll ask Stacy, maybe she knows too, is that idea being done at the other car washes that you guys have to work? Usually when you have parking, you have a parking space, but the space is actually kind of mixed use if you think about it as it sits right now. So does that actually qualify for the amount of parking that they need for the building?
Yeah. First of all, for the building, they meet the parking requirements.
Okay,
Okay. For the car wash itself, it's a combined for the vacuum as well as for parking is if it's necessary. If you look at one of their models that they did, and I think very successful in Troy, Michigan, and I think that this is where the idea basically comes from, okay? It's basically the same concept that, you know, you have the actual car wash itself, and then you have this, the business center, the, what I like to call the innovation center, okay? But in terms of the parking, yes, it meets the requirements.
okay.
Mhm.
Just curious about that, you know?
Yes, as you notice, we don't have a parking variance as one of our requests. We meet the parking for the uses, and your code is, you know, pretty clear on what the parking requirements are. And so it was easy to follow, but yes, Julian's right. There's a Troy, Michigan site, that also incorporates offices. I was thinking more locally with the Doral site, but that one is a 2-story building where you have the tunnel on the bottom and the office on the top. However, because your mixed-use town center district wants frontage, we felt that having the glazing on the building, on the ground floor, putting the office there, we could fit it, and it made more sense because it created a little bit more of a street presence, even though we're not up against the street.
All right, thank you.
I'm not a fan. You know, the threats that we had in the town and the change that we're trying to make to the town was to create a better space all along our US 1 corridor. We see lots of improvements, you know, just to the north, even the furniture store El Dorado. It looks great. We have banks that are looking good, recognized for their aesthetics. And then we're asking us to go ahead and give variances for things which are a stretch to call it mixed use. Without a doubt, it's a stretch. It's not what it was intended to be. The idea of an incubator, not something that's real vibrant right now. They haven't been shown to be very, very successful. I think it's just an attempt to try to get underneath the changes to make this acceptable to the council. But from what I can see, it has nowhere near what the vision of what we wanted for our town. Granted, it might be better than what's there now, but it's not what the best use is going to be there. It's not what the best use could be there. And I don't like anything about this. It's a stretch to call it anything versus what the people of this city wanted and what the Shreds we wanted. So I'm not going to go into much more than that because it doesn't come anywhere close from my perspective.
Understood.
Any other questions? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. The next project before us this evening is MMG Best Plaza LLC. That's the applicant. The project number is Plan 0426-00156. The location is at 19700 South Dixie Highway. The folio number is 36-6006-040-0010. This project was advertised in the Miami Herald on May 31st of 2026. The property was posted on May 29th of 2026. And this is a site plan modification to an already approved site plan back on April 15th of 2025. And that was plan number 122400120. And again, the proposal here is a modification to a site plan to accommodate a new PNC Bank. The rendering is to my left, with a drive-through facility at the existing retail center. So what they're asking for is, number one, to the modification of the site plan. Number one is adding an egress connection to South Dixie Highway. Number two is raising the paved elevation around the proposed bank building. Number three is adding the ATM drive-up lane. And then number four is converting the 2-lane drive aisles behind the main building to a one-way drive aisle. At this time, we have the applicant here with us, and he's ready to make a quick presentation and to answer any questions that you may have.
Good evening, Council Mayor. My name is Joshua Simpson. Address is 9171 South Dixie Highway, Miami, Florida, 33156. He pretty much explained exactly what we're trying to do here. Last year, we got an approval for facade renovation and some minor site plan improvements. It's the shopping center just east of the Turnpike where it's a Rent-A-Wheel, a Sherwin-Williams. You might have seen the construction already start. When we ripped off the signs, put banners, we're starting the renovation this next 30 days. This is like he said, just to add some more elements to the site to get the drive-through for the tenant, to add the exit onto US 1. Providing the one-way behind the main structure is to add parking. So we're already to code with the parking, but we know that what's required and what's actually going to be used are not aligned. And so we wanted to create ample parking for the prospective tenants. And any other questions, please let me know.
Questions from the council? No? Much easier presentation. So
Cool.
I don't have any questions for you as well. I'm not going to lambast you either. So, okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Officer, I believe that's all we have. If you have anything else you'd like to add? No?
Nope.
All right. Julian, thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.